also owned talk shows. They owned Phil Donahue, Sally Jesse Raphael, and Phil was getting close to retirement. So one day they took me to lunch and said, Phil's going to retire, we're going to start a new talk show, you're going to host it. So I was assigned to it. And it was my side job, it wasn't even my main job because I was doing the news. So they just signed me for 6 weeks. So I had no thought about doing a talk show or anything like that.
That's incredible that they would allow you to do the news and that kind of show at the same time.
Well, in the beginning it was a more normal show. And, it wasn't until about 2 or 3 years in that the show started to go stupid.
And when it made that shift, what were you thinking? Oh my gosh, what am I doing here?
Well, no, actually, the only decision I ever made regarding the show was to go young. At the time, in the early 90s, all the shows were trying to be like Oprah and go after a demographic which we call middle-aged housewives. Then along came Ricky Lake, and she really had the first show that went after the kids. When I say kids, I mean high school and college age.
I remember Ricky Lake. I'm that old.
No, you're not. But anyway, so we said from now on, we'll only have young people in the audience, young people on stage, young subject matter. And young people are much more open about their lifestyles. The show's starting to go crazy once in a while. Universal then bought it and said from now on, you can only do crazy. And so that's what the show is. It's about crazy, dysfunctional, inappropriate behavior.
It amazes me, though, that people come on there and are willing to do that, and willing to be crazy, and willing to show that. I like to keep my crazy under wraps.
Yeah, well, you think so. Come on out. No, actually, if you think of today's social media, there is nothing that you see on a television show that kids aren't already doing on Facebook or, on their iPhones or what have you. So it's a totally different world today. People do share their personal lives, and so.
For better or for worse, we do give up everything on social media. All right, so in all the years you've done this show, is there anything anymore that stands out? And can you be shocked at this point?
No, to be honest, but you know what? I don't think you can be a grown-up in today's world and be surprised by anything anymore. I mean, you got Donald Trump running for president, for God's sakes. What's going to shock you anymore?
Well, there is that. There is that. And we cover that, all the time, all the days. How much longer do you think you're going to go with this show?
Well, I'm 72 now, and I haven't let NBC know. Yeah. I've let them know that I will stop the show when I'm 104 because I want to be able to enjoy my retirement. So I'm going to go to 104 and then I'm going to stop. I'm sorry.
So, do you guys hear that? You have it for a lot longer. And the chant. Where's the most interesting place you've heard the chant? Because you're still getting it.
Well, this is true. The most interesting place I've ever heard the chant, Jerry. I'm at a football game, and the big stadium, and so in fact it could have been the Ravens playing the Bengals. Well, sometime during the game you got to go to the men's room, and the men's room in these football stadiums, they're like 500 urinals. So I'm in there with 1,000 guys. I'm waiting, and now it's my turn, and I got people start chanting. And at my age, I don't need any more pressure.
You should have felt pretty good.
Yeah, they're going, Jerry, I was happy right with you. You have a question?
Yes, I do. Hi, Caprice. Okay, so we're in the convention center, and we know it's children and everything here, but Jerry, did you bring some Jerry beads?
No, the answer is no. It's a family show. All right, so wait a minute. Let's.
Yeah. Now I can see why people like the beads. You can't get plastic like that at Tiffany's. No, I'm not going to do that either.
All right, so I want to switch gears because you mentioned you started in news and you brought up the presidential election. You also were in politics.
Yeah, I used to be the mayor of Cincinnati. And so I started my first job was with Bobby Kennedy, actually. So I started in politics. I was in it for 10 years. And then I was a news anchor for 10 years. And then I got the show.
What do you?
I've been everything you can't respect. A lawyer, a politician, a news anchor, and once I sell used cars, I've done the whole cycle.
Is that in your future?
Yeah, actually I do it here.
Okay, right. Were you signing? You were signing autographs. Were you signing books?
No, just
Autographs?
no, books require reading.
Does your audience not do that?
I don't. No, I do. I know how to read. I swear.
All right, so let's talk politics for a minute. You brought up Donald Trump, and what do you think about what's going on in the world today? I mean, this is all we talk about, this presidential election.
Yeah. Well, I should tell you, I'm biased because I love Hillary Clinton, so that's my bias. Yeah. But having said that bias, I think that Donald Trump really was inevitable. 20 or 30 years from now, historians will look back and say that it was inevitable that we'd have someone like Donald Trump run for president. And the reason is, for the last 35 years in America, we have raised a whole generation of Americans to dislike their government, to hate Washington, to think all politicians are corrupt. Every political commercial you see says the other guy's above, how bad the person is, the person's corrupt or whatever. Well, if you raise a generation of Americans to hate the government, to hate Washington, you can't be surprised that at some point you will have someone running for president who is anti-government, anti-Washington. And if you're running for president, you have to be well known. Well, the only two areas left where you can be well known in America if you're not a politician is either sports or entertainment. Well, that means you're too young to run for president. So it was inevitable that at some point we would have someone in the entertainment field run for president as anti-government. Did we know it would be Donald Trump? No. But we should have known eventually it would be an entertainer, and I think that's what's happened now.
Are we entering a troublesome time, or is it's politics, it's more of the...
Well, I think it has to be put into perspective. People are saying, oh my gosh, things are falling apart now. Time out. Those of us old enough to remember 1968, there is no comparison between how America was falling apart in 1968, when cities were burning, when we had the assassination of Martin Luther King, Bobby Kennedy, Medgar Evers, we had the riots at the Democratic Convention in Chicago, we had the Vietnam War where every week hundreds of Americans were coming back in body bags. So to compare what's going on now, it's just disruptive, but nothing compared to the turmoil we had in America in 1968. Secondly, we are in the midst of what I would call a very great president, Barack Obama. And the truth is, we've never had a point where 90% of Americans have health insurance. You know, our unemployment is lower now than it's been in over a decade. We're not at war at the current moment. You know, when he came into office, the economy was falling apart, financial system was falling apart, people lost half their life savings, we were in 2 wars. You know, do we not remember? And now, I'm not suggesting people don't have problems, but if you compare it with what it was 8 years ago, it's not even close. So we should stop beating up on America all the time. Not everyone in government is a crook. Not our government does some pretty neat things, and we're pretty happy to have it. So I just think we have to be a little more open to how great this country can be.
All right, you won't get that on the Jerry Springer Show, but you will get that here at the Bmore. All right, we got just a couple of minutes. We're going to take a couple of questions before we let Jerry go. So, anybody have a question for Jerry? We have a question over here. Ready for Jerry?
Are your fights real?
Yes, everything about the show is real except me. I'm fake. Now, I used to be a woman, but beyond that, yeah, they're real.
Another question?
I think myself that's love you guys.
No.
Thank you.
After your night show, your other night show,
How does it feel to be doing the Jerry Springer Show, still be doing the show after 25 years?
How do I feel about it? I'm very lucky. I love doing the show. Honestly, the show's a lot of fun. It's crazy, it's stupid, but it's a lot of fun.
All right, over here.
Jerry, we just want to say that we love you here in Baltimore, and I'm so sad you didn't bring those Jerry Dees.
How did you become a politician?
Yeah, I started out in politics when I was in high school and then in college. I was very active in the civil rights movement. And then I went to law school, and my first job out of law school was with Bobby Kennedy. So that's how I got in it. And then eventually I was elected mayor of Cincinnati.
Well, we want to say thank you to Jerry Springer for being our special guest of honor here at our Bmore Healthy Expo. And how many of you will be watching the show?
And also, if you want to, I also have a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
So just go to jerryspringer.com. And every week there's a podcast where it's part comedy, part music, but part a political rant. So if you like that kind of stuff, just go to the podcast, you'll see that too. And then, of course, the television show, which is nuts, but you'll enjoy it.
Jerry, thank you so much. We appreciate having you here. Expo.
That's at the booth.